fourth and the fifth verse. We went through certain section, the list of characteristics of beings arising. The first is buddhi, the intellect. Second is jnanam, knowledge. The third, non-illusion. With reference to Brahman, the Brahman maintains an undiluted witness, non-illusion. Then the fourth we studied was kshama, forgiveness. Forgiveness is the quality we studied, which means a capacity to forgive another person's shortcomings when you become a victim of their imperfections. Kshama. The fifth quality in the verse, satyam. Satyam is so happy to see Shushmama. So happy to see you back at the classes. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
So nice to see you back. Most sincere student of mine. I've been missing you.
Guruji, I had a lot of problems at home. My husband was very ill, so I had to attend to him.
No,
So
I understand. I do take a note of that, but indeed, delighted to see you back again.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Satyam is, as we said, is an intellectual discipline. In intellectual discipline, there are two things. One is your convictions. When your convictions are supported by your conscience, you are leading a life of satyam. Conviction is what you think is right. What I think is right is not what Soumyama thinks, is not what Ramji thinks. What you think is right, whether is it supported by your conscience. It's not what my opinion is to what your choices are, what your decisions are. What decisions you make is based on your intellectual conviction at that point. And that capacity to make the decision is based on your intellectual clarity, your convictions. So if your conviction is supported by your conscience, then you're true. And convictions are that which keeps changing in the course of your life. The clarity with which you think, the arguments that you can give, what you believe is right, is changing, is a variable factor. So when your convictions at any point are comforted by your conscience, you are leading a life of satyam. That is satyam. Satyam is not, many a time we try to define satyam is by being truthful to others. It's not being truthful to others. Am I taking you into confidence? That is not the point. Oh, should I not take everybody into confidence into what I'm doing? No, it is not taking anybody into confidence. The question is, have I taken my conscience into confidence? Do I believe in a particular thing and do I have the conviction to uphold that belief? It's not a blind belief, it is a firm understanding. And at any point, if your conscience doesn't support it, that means you're not living a life of satyam. Because end of the day, satyam is being true to oneself. It's not being truthful to others. How can I break that person's heart? How can I hurt their feelings? It's not a question of what others feel, a question of whether am I doing the right thing. As long as you're comfortable with whatever you're doing, you're not wrong. That's what Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true. And it must follow as night the day. then you're not false to anybody else. So every step of the way, we have to ensure what we are doing is right or wrong. Could you use the mic, Ma? Is there a mic next to you?
Guruji, it may be hurting the other opposite person sometimes.
Can you hold it?
Okay. It may be hurting the opposite person, Guruji, if we are firm about our own convictions or this thing.
So what? You're not, see, if you're being upright to your convictions, and if it is not taking other people into confidence, other people don't agree to you, so what? Are you to dance to their feelings and emotions and do what it is right for them, or you do what is right for yourself?
Sometimes we need to take into consideration their feelings.
Take others' feelings into account, but if they are not towing to your line, I don't care. It's not careless attitude. It's an attitude where you are not compromising on your principles or your value systems. Let's say tomorrow, my life partner says that I should not continue what I'm doing. Oh, how can I hurt her feelings, or how can I hurt my family sentiments? Would I give up something which I am convinced that this is my purpose of life? In fact, it happened in one of my ashram time. A colleague of mine, he from Hyderabad, I even know, I recall his name, Vardaraj. He used to stay near Amirpet, the fellow. Am I trying to defame him? Vardarajan. Sir, it's not the same Vardarajan. I don't want to take names, but I'm just reminded of that boy. He was working in UK. He heard about the knowledge. He gave up his job, resigned, and he came and joined the ashram for 3 years. Midway during the course, he happened to visit his family. Not allowed. So mother was not well, something special permission. He visited his mother, his family here, Hyderabad. And when he came, his only son, when he came, he said, what is this you're doing? Nothing seriously. She had to go through some surgery and things. So they requested Swamiji and said, okay, go to Papa 1 week, you go and come, but condition you come back 1 week. Okay, sir, a special permission. He came, never came back. And the justification he gave is, my parents are feeling emotionally down and they want me to come back. So he came back. So his pursuit ended there. We never heard of him thereafter, whether he took up something else or not, but from what we know is it ended there abruptly. So you are trying to accommodate others' emotions at what cost? Now you operate on emotions, or you hold on to your intellectual convictions. Which is superior? Your intellectual convictions are far superior than emotions. I don't want to dance to others' emotions. So don't blackmail me. Don't try to play emotional drama with me. You're with me or not, I will carry on my journey. As I say, men may come, men may go, I go on forever. Why should you depend on emotions and whims and fancies and feelings of people? You wouldn't want to hurt them, but if they have a mind of their own, let them live in the world of their own. I don't allow myself to sway by their feelings and emotions. You should not. That is where we say intellectual conviction is it's difficult to dislodge a conviction. It's very easy to influence an emotion. If you're convinced with something, you uphold it, you hold on to it. That's why we are saying Satyam is if you are able to uphold and follow your conviction. On some basis, you came to a conclusion, this is the right thing to do. Now, why are you not holding on to it? Whatever your conviction is. Many people, they decided they don't want to be a meat eater. Again, they were influenced by others and they switched back. They're not able to, just because it is difficult and they convince you. No, you need a strong intellect. You need a very strong intellect to uphold your conviction. For example, see, I'm not trying to promote anything, but of late in the media, there's news about some movie that has come up where there is a capture about how there is a lot of conversion into a particular religion, etc. If I am convinced in my religion, even if God himself were to come down and say that this religion is wrong, I say, thank you, I'll consider it. If Krishna himself may come down and say, I don't think Hinduism is the right thing, you practice other religion, I will consider, even if Lord Krishna were to come down and give a lecture to me, because I have come to a conclusion that this is the right thing. So, me being born into a particular religion, being a practitioner, I don't understand the rationale behind what I'm doing is so fragile that somebody can come and dislodge you, condition you to think that I'm not saying theirs is inferior, mine is superior. No, but if you believe in something, hold on to it. So that radicalism happens in every aspect of life, not just in religion. You're not able to hold on to your perceptions and act on it. So don't have to fall a prey to others' emotions. End of the day, it is an individualistic journey. If you are with me, be with me. If you're not with me, I go on. But it should not come to a point where your journey gets stunted because of others. That should not happen. You don't come along with me, but that's all right. That's your choice. But don't make sure that it stops my journey. Nah, that cannot happen. And do I have the strength to believe what I'm doing is right? What come may? I came through a story or something, some piece of information. An elderly person with a chisel and a hammer, he made a path through a mountain where he reduced the travel journey from 55 kilometers to 15 kilometers. Because that village, they had to go round the mountain to go to a nearest medical facility. So he took 22 years to chisel a mountain. No help, no assistance, just by himself with a hammer and chisel. 22 years, he kept chiseling a mountain, made a pathway that the whole community in this village can cut short a 55-kilometer journey to 15 kilometers so that they can reach a medical facility. What is that? Commitment, the kind of purpose. Nothing can come in my way. Yeah, Shivaji?
Like in many cases, it happens. Even if we're talking about the religion, it happens. Typically, a politician says, yes, I'm convinced. My conviction is that I need to loot.
That's why we're saying, sir, whether your convictions are supported by your conscience, then only I am Satyam. I may have many convictions, but only when your conscience supports your convictions, then you're wrong. You're right. Otherwise, you're wrong. So the convictions, what I believed in, for example, I believe that certain malpractices are acceptable in business because that is a norm that how businesses are run. If you believe and accept it and endorse it in your industry, because others have done it, you think you're comfortable with it? When we started the foundation 6-7 years ago, we applied for tax exemption in 2017. First 3 years we were rejected. No? We rejected first 2 applications rejected on some grounds. And our auditor, who had processed then, Couple of other similar applications, they also were rejected, and he called us and told us that I have got it approved for them. It just need that you need to give them certain things and it will be done for you. They need to be given some money. You facilitate that, it will be given. I said, nothing doing. I will carry on the work without the tax exemption status. We went through an application again without any greasing any palms, no under table treatment, nothing. We waited. So what? If the work can go on without tax exemption, we go on. Not that after tax exemption there's a flood. There is no flood of flow of funds. Big deal is our namesake. It's not that we are inundated because of we have got tax exemption. No funds. Means there is no big difference. So how does it matter? I will carry on my work whether you are going to support me or not. If you want to support, you will find ways and means to support. If you don't want to support, you will find 10 reasons not to support. So what have I got to do with your attitude towards what I am doing, man? But whether am I to do the right way? Because others are doing that way, am I also to resort that way? I said, nothing doing. You uphold your conviction, your principle, your convictions. End of the day, the most satisfying thing is to comfort your conscience. But if you have confronted it, it's the most difficult thing is to live with your conscience. Most difficult thing. That's what Macbeth said. No, I did not kill Duncan. I killed my own sleep. He said. You try. You know the story. The Macbeth killed King Duncan, who was his benefactor, because he just wanted to become the king. And you become the king and you stab your own benefactor. And then the king had to deal, who became the king, King Duncan, King Macbeth, when he became, he had to deal with it. What? Deal with his own guilt. He didn't sleep thereafter. It's not a question of, this is not how much funds we have. It's not how many funds we are, how much resources we are raising. Am I raising it the right way? Imagine if I'm able to raise 10 crores and set up a facility. But how did I get the tax exemption status? Bribing few fellow officers. You think I'm going to live comfortably thereafter? Every step of the way, I'll be doing many things illegal to carry on because I did once. I compromised it. So I don't feel anything wrong with it. To have that conviction, even if it means it may not reap rewards immediately. So hold on to that and carry on. That is Satyam. Yes, Haresh.
Guruji, from observation, what you say is absolutely spot on. From observation, Guruji, I think we
Can you
all
speak a little louder, Haresh?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Guruji? Is it much better?
Yeah. Little louder if you can, please.
Yeah, let me just adjust. Okay, Guruji, how is this now?
Yeah, fair enough. Go ahead, please.
Sorry. Is it much clearer now, Guruji?
Please, no, go ahead, sir. No problem. We are able to hear you.
Guruji, I've also come to understand that the more firm we stand with our convictions, the number of people in our lives are going to disappear or drop, because very few people I've seen stand with the convictions. They are very influenced by people and society. So the one who's standing with his or her conviction is more likely to stand alone as the journey goes forward. It's just an observation of life. There are very few people on the side of the person who has the conviction.
Is it a general principle you believe in life?
Yes, to most extent, because in my life journey, whatever I stand for, there's a lot of opposition at times, and there's a lot of criticism I've experienced in society in general, that I've been told to go with the flow, go with the crowd, be flexible at the cost of my conviction. And if it doesn't support my conscience, I don't budge. So I end up I end up being alone in that journey of that platform in some areas. And I think a lot of people who stand by their convictions are very likely to, I think, have very few numbers with them, not the masses. That's my experience. I don't know how far that's true with everybody, but in my case, it is the case.
I don't know whether we can say it as a general thumb rule. You know, if I'm say I'm convinced to be a meat eater, I'll have plenty of people. My conviction.
No, I mean on the basis that it supports my conscience, whatever that decision is, that supports my conscience, the sattvic way of life. So on that note, I speak from my experiences.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, as you go higher in any field of life, as you go higher, the numbers keep dropping.
Yeah, they keep shrinking. They keep
It's
shrinking.
like a pyramid, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Even in
Exactly.
an organizational ladder, if there are 10,000 people in an organization, how many people are fit to be at the director's level or a chairman's level?
Yeah.
There are three, four people who are eligible to be chairman of the organization.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
always only at the top.
Yes.
Even while
Yes.
trekking, we realize that. You know, when we started at the base, there are many, many people. But as you kept going up, where are they? Where are they? They all dropped off. I was reminded of Yudhishthira. You know, as Yudhishthira, you know the story of Yudhishthira along with his brothers and his wife. They all went up to the gates, went up to the heaven, and they were scaling a mountain. They're going uphill. And the story goes, one by one kept falling off. End of the day, when he reached the heavenly gates, he and a dog was there. So similar experience there is. So you're not wrong. The higher you go, the loner you become.
Yes. Yes.
But it is the strength comes from being true to oneself. There is no
Yes.
strength in compromising and confronting your conscience. There's no strength in it.
Yes.
Even though you're loner, the strength is in being true to yourself. So
Yes.
the fact that I upheld my conviction then of not getting a tax exemption, I'm openly able to tell you all that I did that. Imagine if I had done what others did, would I have the conviction to speak to you all like this about it? Impossible. Isn't it? Huh? I don't remember the quantum. So there she's a testimony to whether I'm speaking the truth or not. Sometimes my shadow doesn't come where she comes. When my shadow doesn't follow there, she comes there. Jayama. She said she was there. And I know she was there. You okay, Harish?
Yes, Guru.
Moving on, the sixth quality in the fourth and the fifth verse is non-injury. We said non-injury is a mental quality, an attitude that you don't intend to hurt anybody. As the saying goes, you're cruel only to be kind. This is difficult to practice. People are always caught up in emotions. The only way I can do good to you is by being cruel, so be it. But my intention is to be kind. But many people are caught up with the superficial emotions, so they can't deal with that cruelty. Seventh is damaha. We said a healthy state where you master or control your senses, sense control. Shamaha is mental control, is where you have your feelings and emotions under perfect control. You don't let your emotions or feelings out of control. And then this is where we last left. Then he says the ninth quality is existence and non-existence. Now, what is it that doesn't exist from a relative perspective? Abhavaha. Bhavaha. Bhavo bhavaha. So what is it that doesn't exist from a relative standpoint? Sanjay? Because absolute standpoint is very easy. You'll say that the world is illusion, what exists is Brahman. You become very poetic. So I'm tired of Sanjay's poetry.
Guru, as soon as you ask a question, actually, I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. My mind was still stuck on the previous point, but yeah, I understand the question. What doesn't exist from a relative standpoint, but I don't have an answer right now.
There's something to clarify from the earlier concept?
No, it's just something I need to process in my mind. It's not on the actual words, it's just something.
All right. So the quality of existence and non-existence, how do you perceive it relatively? Any thoughts? No thoughts.
Not at the moment. Sorry, Guruji.
So what doesn't exist is, what doesn't exist for you? The concept of existence and non-existence doesn't exist for you. Isn't it? You're not here, mentally you're not here, still in the concept of Satyam.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Venkaji, that exists, what is it that doesn't exist?
No, Guruji, I would seek an answer for this. I don't want to do any guess estimate.
Even from a relative point of view, you don't have to be philosophical for that.
Well, that way, if you say physically, whatever we see, we think that it is existence. Some of those things which we talk about and which we would not have experienced, while we believe in it, but then we don't know in what form it exists and all. Like, we all know that, yes, there is a superpower, there is a God, there is somebody who is, directing
Again,
all
you're
of
talking
us.
from an absolute standpoint. The moment you talk of Brahman and God, you're talking absolute. So, from a relative standpoint, what is it that is existent, that is real? Non-existent is not real for you anymore. Relative.
So is it about some of those things what we experience, say, on a daily, like say for food, for instance, some of that which existed now, it doesn't matter to me.
What matters?
Is that a relative basis?
What are you saying? What matters?
I mean, I'm just taking a very low order need, like suppose some of those things which I used to relish a lot and look forward to it. Now they don't exist for me. I mean, I'm not just bothered.
No. See, how to look at this concept from a relative perspective is, what doesn't exist is your past or the future.
Okay.
A relative point of view. What should not exist, does not exist, and should not exist is your past. As they were saying, every saint had a past. Why should you be worried of his past? There's no point. Past is dead. Future also doesn't exist, is unborn. What exists is this present moment. Relative standpoint. Absolute standpoint, then you can say what it is, whatever it is. So existent, non-existent is to remain in the present. The past and the future, non-existent. Bhaya, abhayam, fear and fearlessness. So what is So the fear, the deluded are not afraid of getting entangled in the world. They run into the world, they run behind the world, they get attached to the world, they don't fear the world. But they fear to lead a path of uprightness. They fear the path to uphold the conscience. They fear the spiritual path. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Fear on failure. Who? The deluded. No, we are saying fear and fearlessness. So what are the deluded people, what they fear and what they fear not, what the wise fear not. I'm just giving that comparison. Why should there be a fear of failure when you have conviction in your ability to perform action? And if you are able to find satisfaction in the action that you perform, how does it matter the result? It shouldn't matter. The result shouldn't matter. Even if the result is not coming, you shouldn't fear, because my purva karma is such that the results are not coming. So be it. Let me put in the effort. Could you come again, sir?
There is an old saying in English.
It's on, it's on. It's already on, sir. Use it, please.
There is an old saying in English. I read somewhere. Fear is the key.
Fear is the
Key.
key for what?
Key for everything. If you frighten somebody else, you'll get whatever you want.
So people are
Yes.
talking of Hollywood dialogue here, James Bond dialogues.
Well, that is one of the things I remember, it's got set up in my mind.
But
But I never use it.
unsubscribe Netflix and Amazon from house. Watching too much of movies.
But only thing, Guruji, I never practiced it.
No, so fear is always portrayed in a negative sense. Fear or insecurity. Fearlessness is a trait to cultivate. So the deluded
Fear and fearlessness can also be interpreted as attachment and detachment, right? Because fear comes out of attachment. So here we can also say that when he says fear and fearlessness, it can also mean attachment and detachment. Can it be?
fear of losing something is because you have developed an attachment.
Attachment.
What
Fear of
attachment?
anything is out of attachment.
Yes. So fearless, nothing to fear.
Means
because
no attachment.
no attachment. You can say that, yes. Because one reason why one develops fear is because of a selfish relationship. Attachment is selfish relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't have a selfish relationship, there is
So
no.
the deluded always lives in fear because he is afraid that he will lose whatever he has accumulated.
Correct.
That is also a
Or
fear.
delusion is holding on to them.
Yeah,
Correct. Fair enough. You can say that.
Yeah.
Certainly. Certainly. So the wise people, they quote the reality. The wise pursue the self. They don't fear the path of the self. As Harish said, you should not fear being a loner, Harish. You should fear if there are numbers. In fact, it is the weak that seek comfort in the numbers. The strong always find comfort in being a loner. You get it? And then the 11th quality, samatha. Samatha means equanimity. Equanimity is to be understood as a state of mind when the mind is calm, when it doesn't have any agitations, where you are unaffected by the world. A state where you remain not disturbed by the world, that state, mental state, is equanimous. 12th quality, tushtihi, contentment. Contentment is, what is it that is contented? Okay, can I ask? Not Asha Bajaj, but Asha, without the Bajaj.
Yes, Guruji.
When we say contented, what is it that is contented or discontented?
Contented, happy in the present state with what is.
Whatever it is, but what is it that is contented in life, or what is it that is discontented?
Desires that the thought, the mind which says that you're fulfilled with.
So contentment is a quality of the mind, isn't it? It's a state
Yes.
of.
Yes.
So contentment is a state of the mind, a state of fulfillment, regardless of where you are placed in life.
Isn't it easier said?
That's why I'm saying no. Yes, it is very easy to say so. But we are only trying to understand what is that quality. No doubt it is very difficult to practice it. But it is a quality of the mind, regardless of where you are, regardless of what you have, you find yourself quite contented in life. So it doesn't matter, even if you have to measure, many people measure their contentment level with their material quotient. So contentment is a level of your spiritual quotient. And your spiritual quotient is independent of your material quotient. Which means, let's say, if I have 10% of wealth, what should be my level of contentment? 100%. If I have 70% of wealth, what should be my contentment? 100%. Irrespective of material quotient, you can have your mental contentment. Means when I say percentage, today what is the state of discontentment? The state of discontentment is your mind pitches happiness onto something that you do not have. On something you do not have. It could be an emotion, it could be a material thing, it could be a state you believe you wish you were in, it could be a physical health, it could be anything. So the moment you pitch your happiness on something you do not have, that is a definition of discontentment. No, I'm only trying to put it in a language we understand. Discontentment is you pitch your happiness on something you do not have. And as we said, irrespective of where you stand in life, you should be contented. Whatever situation you are, you must be contented. Now, things can get better in life, certainly, yes. No, there's nothing wrong. My immediate goal is this irritating noise must stop. The noise is coming in the hall. It should be annoying me. It should stop. We should aspire that should be resolved. No, you should not be content with. Contentment doesn't mean you remain in imperfection. No. You should not. It's not tamas. The contentment should not be misconstrued as being pig's contentment. Sorry to use the word. A pig also is contented. Where is the pig? In the gutters. Oh, yes, sir. Therefore, I also will be where I am in the gutterly state, and I'll be very content with that because that's what Vedanta says. Gita says. No. Contentment doesn't mean you should not strive for perfection. Irrespective of what I want to aspire, because aspiration means in the future. Fruits belong to the future. But contentment is the present state. So while I remain contented, I can continue to aspire for anything more. They're two different things. We should not mix them up. But what people do, they say that I'll be happy when I get there. It's not being happy when I get there. I'm happy now, I'll be happy there as well. So at every stage of life, you're happy with the world, without the world. Irrespective of whatever you are, you must try to. So what is the quality you need? How do you do that? You need to keep pulling the mind off the future fruits. Bring it back to the present all the time. And if you practice that quality of bringing the mind back to the present and remaining in the present, you'll be able to find contentment, because happiness as contentment is only in the present now, not in the future. So how to remain contented is whenever your mind keeps thinking of something you do not have or goes into the future, bring it back to the present. And if you are able to achieve that, you will find more often than not, you'll be contented. The spiritually elevated people, contentment. Better than? No, that is that could be a legitimate observation, but spiritual people, it means what? Who is spiritual people? Those who wear upper robes and namams and tilaks. They are not, that's not spirituality. So every human is a constitution of spiritual quotient and material quotient. What that? Huh? What are we saying? Every human being has got spiritual quotient and emotional quotient. Now, Chap, please don't distract me. Neengi ulla poi ukarango heavy room le. Gayatri ma neenga velila vango, let Rajima go and sit inside. There'll be a nuclear explosion inside. With Rajima and Hariji sitting, what will happen? There will only be an explosion. No? Correct. Every human being has got two aspects to their personality. One is your material quotient, another is a spiritual quotient. It is essentially you are constituted that way. So to aspire to advance materially is not wrong. If you want to advance your material quotient, there's nothing wrong with it, because you need the resources of the world to carry on with your life and livelihood. You can't run away from the fact that you have to live in this world. However simple, you may say, oh, I want to run an ashram. You want to run an ashram, you need resources. Perhaps much more than you run your home. When this facility is born, this facility needs far more resources than running your home. I like it or not, it needs the resources. So it is an integral part that material resources are required. If I have to live in this world, I need resources. If I need to cover my body, I need resources. I can't run away from that fact, can I? I need to put bread and butter on my table. I need resources. So it's a material quotient is an integral part of it. So if somebody wants to advance material quotient, there's nothing wrong with it. Very philosophy. Don't be greedy. No, there is no limit to that. There is no limit to your material quotient. There is no need to say, oh, I'll stop there and be content with it. There's no, see, it is not quantitative. You can aspire for the sky. Nothing wrong with it. Go get it. As long as your actions can reward you with fruits, go and get what you think is right. So what? But we must understand, as you are enhancing your material quotient, you must look into your spiritual quotient as well. I am vacating this seat because there's a new master in the hall. Mistress. Duct tape, double-sided tape I gave you the other day. She asked double-sided tape, immediately I gave her. I only want 1 or 2 centimeters. I said, take the whole roll. I thought it will have effect. It's not having effect. On top of double-sided tape, I was duct tape also I must put. When more tape no. So the material quotient should not. The problem is people are not satisfying. There is no balance between them both. So those who are chasing the material world are materially advanced, spiritually down. Who is a slave? Obviously, they become a slave to the material. It's a fascinating concept. When I first heard it, it really fascinated me, this concept. The concept is let's say this is your material quotient. This is your spiritual quotient. Let's say from 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Vis-a-vis, how will this be? It will be reverse, isn't it? This will be okay. Ramji, what will be there? There are 2 independent factors. There is no correlation. In fact, the spiritually evolved person and his material dependence is inversely proportional. That's another concept. Means a person who is highly evolved, his need for the world is minimal. Means if a person is 80% spiritually developed, his need will be 20%. He only needs that much of the world. He's quite content with very little. He doesn't need that much of the world to keep him happy. He's very happy with what little he has. But if a person is only 30% developed, he needs 70% of the world to keep him happy. Too late. It's like only when my heart attack happens and I go to the hospital. The problem is I might die on the way to the hospital also. It's too late, sir. To be taken to the hospital to stretcher is too late. To royally walk into the hospital for a checkup is what you should aspire for, not to be taken in a stretcher. Right. Huh? Still talking up. No. So what? Okay, I'll get to that concept. Let's say they are both independent factors, but the way I'm putting it is now this is your material quotient and spiritual quotient. So a person, let's say, as I said, is if a person is 30% evolved, he would need 70% of the world to keep him just happy. Because he lacks that spiritual quotient, that happiness, he lacks it. So what you lack inside is made up from outside. I don't know how many of you feel comfortable just seeing plain walls without a nail on the wall. Without a nail or anything hanging on the wall. Only a mind which is clear will be comfortable seeing. Otherwise, you have to keep pegging and putting things. When you go to certain people's home, it's clustered with so many things. I remember when I came from the ashram, I remember my mother used to do a lot of art. We had natural art, and every art exhibit different things she used to do. She used to exhibit on the walls and showcase and whatnot. And it was such a shock. My father will remember that, isn't it? I'm talking about 30 years ago, I'm saying this. When I came back, it was such a shock for me. Whole house was old. I used to call it as an exhibition. She used to exhibit whatever talent, obviously. One by one, after a few months or little more time, one by one, I started removing everything. First, I started doing in my room. Then started coming into the hall. Slowly, I removed the house, everything, all the unnecessary things. So many things clustered. Unnecessary, collecting dust, that apart. It is disturbance to the eye. I'm just trying to do the psychology. Your mind is clean, you'll appreciate a clean surface. Your mind is disturbed, you'll want to put something on the wall. So a person is 30% developed, needs 70% of the world, but sadly, this fellow has only got 30% of the world with him. His material quotient is only as 30% of the world. So this deficit of minus 40% is defined as hell. Misery. Because you want it, you don't have it, and you believe happiness is in it, that you don't have it. Ashama, without Bajaj. You were saying the other Ashama, Asha Junior. Are you following, Asha?
Yes.
So what we are saying, when you said it's easy to say, I'm only trying to explain it. I agree with you. But when your mind, so this 40%, what you are thinking of is, what is hell? Hell is nothing but unfulfilled desires. And what is unfulfilled desires? Asha? What does unfulfilled desires produce?
Discontentment.
discontentment, or in layman's term, agitations. So the mental agitations you have is because your desires are not met. So you're constantly complaining of things that you don't have, or you don't achieve, or you're deprived of. And that mental state is hell, and it is related to your spiritual quotient. So you're only 30%. You need 70%, but you only have 30%. So the minus 40% is hell. You all follow the logic? Now, tilting the picture other side, let's say of a person who is 90% developed. I'm just exaggerating other side so that we get the concept. So his material requirement will be, he only needs 10% for him to be happy and contented. Why? His desires are very less. He doesn't have any, his needs are less. His state of mind is very, very matured state. He doesn't have unnecessary frills, desires. If the world he doesn't have, he's fine. He doesn't complain. But when people complain, when they don't have the world, that means they are not matured. So you need only 10% of the world to keep you happy. But the fact of life is, this person has got 60% of the world with him. He's got 60% of wealth with him. He's provided with 60% of the wealth. He only needs 10%. He is being provided 60%. So what is this? What is it? He doesn't need it. But has it. Here is he wants it desperately. Doesn't have it. Krishna and Purnam, correct. You get the point? Asha, you following? Now, what Vedanta does, now this concept is fairly, it draws you. What Vedanta helps you is, or they may want to see in, better to see in other color, no? Vedanta helps you in twofold. It helps you to spiritually grow. How do you understand spiritual growth? Reduce your desires. It helps you materially also grow. How? It makes your actions dexterous and skillful. So whatever you do it skillfully. Whatever you do, yoga karmasu kaushalam. This is a definition. In fact, he says, Shivaji is saying yoga, no? In the Gita, he says, yoga, he defines it as samatvam yoga uchyate. And in the material sense, he says, karmasu which means dexterity. So Vedanta helps you to advance materially, means I am able to earn, I am able to produce, I am able to generate wealth because of my actions are smart. At the same time, I'm reducing my desires. So even if the world is not there, I'm happy. So Vedanta helps you on both folds. But what's happening in the world, those who don't have this knowledge, as the material wealth increases, their capacity to earn increases, what happens? Proportionately, the desires and wants also are increasing. Oh, there was a time where I could travel the world with my family for a holiday. And I used to go only to somewhere in India. Now I am earning well enough that I can go with my family in the Southeast Asia. Now I am earning well enough that I can travel the West. I can travel Europe and the world. As my capacity to earn is increasing, desires are proportionally increasing. Now I want to travel not ordinary economy, I want to travel business class with my family. Not business class, then first class. Then not stay in a 2-star, I want to stay in a 5-star hotel. Then a 7-star hotel. Then I want to go in a yacht. Then I have private jet. There is no limit to your demands and desires. Just because your material capacity increases, your desires are not being, you're not putting a lid on your desires. You're feeding your desire. So when your desires are more than your income, you're a poor person. Remember this, when your desires are more than your income, you're a poor person. But the moment your desires are contained and well within your income, you're a rich man. I remember my guru used to tell to businessmen, people when businessmen used to come him and ask him, what is it you're teaching in this academy? What are you teaching to your students? I remember he used to say, I am teaching my students how not to create bills. Not to create bills. You create bills, rest of your life running to pay the bills. I'm teaching them not to create bills. You create bill, you're running to pay the bills, no? It's a vicious cycle. One after the other. One after the other. One leads to the other, one leads to the other. All your life, samsara, carries on. But if I don't create the bill itself, free. Huh? Lifelong period. Everything is on credit only. The car you're driving, credit. The bed you're sleeping is on credit. The stove you're cooking on credit. Food you're taking is credit. The couch you're sitting, credit. Couch you didn't pay the fee, actually come and take away the couch as you're sitting on it. You'll not be there. Tomorrow couch is taken off. House is on credit. I'm saying Western culture. You know, these youngsters, the first thing they start few months into the salary, they start borrowing beyond their capacity. Huh? What do you mean? I don't get you. Sir, when we die once. But till that happens, we will live royally. joyfully, blissfully. The most refreshing thing that gives you life is knowledge. Believe me, every moment you are everybody. That inevitable death has to come. So until the inevitable comes, why to worry about it? They say in English language, sir, I also heard a very famous English language, they said something. They say, do not meet misfortunes midway. Don't meet misfortunes midway. Let it come. When it comes, we'll see. Why are you meeting the midway? Means why are you worrying about it before it happens? If something has to happen, let it happen. We'll see. No, you know if it's going to happen. We will be prepared for it. We'll be mentally be prepared for it and deal with it. But why should I worry about it, invite it much before it has arrived in my life? So don't meet misfortunes midway. You can meet at the end. लोग विल मीट देखेंगे बाद में देखेंगे. So contentment is irrespective of your material quotient. And the best way you reconcile this with your life in yourself is you get what you deserve, not what you desire. So all the time you keep telling yourself, if I deserve it, I get it. Why am I desiring it? Why am I complaining about it? Why am I wanting it? Why am I thinking about it? If I deserve it, it'll happen. Full stop. Desires are kicked out. Just keep doing your part. So Vedanta helps you to advance spiritually and advance materially also. So there's nothing wrong in addressing both your needs. You cannot live one without the other. You cannot live only on material quotient. You cannot live only on spiritual quotient. Tell the Swami who says spirituality is everything, let him survive on breathing. Only breathing, let him survive. All his philosophy has gone to the drain. How will he survive? I mean, death, next moment I'm dead. I don't drink water for 2 days, what will happen? Dead. Drink contaminated water, dead. You need to survive. Materiality is essential. You cannot survive in this world without materiality. But to believe materiality is everything is stupidity. To believe spirituality everything also is not right. So you need to have the balance of both. Material aspect and spiritual aspect. But the only way you will live up to a true dignity is to ensure that your spiritual quotient is always superior than the material quotient. Means your dependence on it is less. You rise to such an extent that you don't need the world, but you have plenty of the world with you. What a state to have. I want so much, but I don't have, I only have very little. What a state. All the time you see somebody, every time you pass by a house, you say, oh, what a beautiful house. It's like saying, every time you pass by a bank, you say, wow, so much money in the bank. You can't see, to be in that state is a very pitiable state. Why can't you be happy? If you are in a hut, be happy with the hut. If you are happy in a palace, be happy in a palace. If you are happy with company, be happy with company. If you are happy without company, be happy without company. Strive to have company. If you won't want a company, strive to be without company. But be happy where you are at that moment. Let things happen. Whatever has to happen. So contentment. Let me finish the last 3 there. Then he says the 13th quality, he says tapas. Tapas, as we understand, is conserving your valuable mental energy. And how do you conserve the energy? The energy is usually dissipated by the indiscriminate pursuit of the world, when you are indiscriminately running behind the extroverted activities of the world, running behind the world, your energy is wasted. When you don't do many a thing, so much energy is conserved. So if you don't do many things in life, you're able to conserve a lot of energy, and then you redirect it to the spiritual pursuit, the higher. That's tapas, conserving, redirecting. And then the 14th quality, he says, is dhanam. You must do charity. Charity is not doing a favor to the needy. Oh, that fellow needs it, I'll give something. Periya dhanam panna. You're not simply giving something which, because other fellow needs it. What is dhanam? Is to share, is to part with your conveniences. You look out for opportunities to give. Create opportunities. Charity is to create opportunities to give. Like, don't you create opportunity to pamper yourself? Huh? You only do once in a blue moon, huh? Sir? To pamper yourself, once in a blue moon you pamper yourself? Once in a blue moon, upward, correct. Then once in 10 Janmas, I'll do charity then. That will be the next logic then. Like, we don't think twice, we don't think in terms of doing something for oneself. And we don't spare, we don't calculate it. For yourself, you think anything? You don't think. Why do you think when you think of others? I think they survive on your paltry parting? Nahankara. So charity is to curb that ahankar in you, that the world survives because of you. Get rid of that ahankar. Charity is not that the world is surviving on your breadcrumbs. You give breadcrumbs and you think you're doing charity. Invariably, people, when they do charity, what they're doing? Breadcrumbs they're doing of what they have. I have a whole loaf of bread and breadcrumbs I'm giving as charity. Periya charity I'm doing. Real charity is to give yourself away. It's a different concept. You can go too deep into it, but it is mentioned again is to imbibe it. And then the last quality he says is ayashaha. Ayashaha means infamy. Fame and infamy. So all the good, the fame and the bad reputations that you experience in life. So people, I've had experience, you had umpty experience, where people will talk good of you, same people will talk bad of you. I don't know for what reason they speak good of you now. I don't know for what reason they spoke bad of you then. Same people talking. One point they want to do Bhara Puja. Second time they want to pull the carpet under your feet. What's going on today? Make up your mind. Whether you want to do Pada Puja or pull the carpet under your feet. So, this is the world, understand that. I'm literally saying, yeah, I've gone through experience. So, this is life. So, all this has come out, he says, which are all born from me. We'll come back and continue from the 6th. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.